The case has drawn attention beyond Mississippi as an example of how public figures can make life difficult for news organizations long before they have ever presented evidence of the, quote, actual malice needed to prove defamation cases.
We've got one more segment prepared, and if we don't get any calls, we might go ahead and wrap early. But that segment is about this that's going on in Mississippi with this welfare scandal. Now, allegedly, Brett Favre and company stole millions of dollars in welfare money from the state of Mississippi, and there's been an update in that story. Adam, what's going on?
So, Anna Wolf is the reporter who broke the story, the welfare fraud scandal in Mississippi. She won the Pulitzer Prize for it, and she is now facing possible jail time, which is just, pretty insane to think that the very first person who may face jail time from this entire welfare fraud scandal could be the reporter who actually busted the story open. So it was about a year ago when she won the Pulitzer Prize. She exposed $77 million in federal welfare funds were spent on athletes and various pet projects and cronies. And her editor are now facing jail time, potentially, because they are being sued for defamation by the state's former governor. Who was, of course, a top, subject of their reporting. So Anna Wolf, the reporter, and her editor, they've been hit with a court order requiring them to turn over internal files, including the names of confidential sources. Of course, they say the order is a threat to journalism that they will resist. Wolf told NBC News, quote, "If one of us goes to jail, we will be the first person to go to jail in the Mississippi welfare scandal." And she continued, "How can I make promises to sources that I'm going to keep them confidential if this is possible?" So it's really,
What is the case for defamation even over? I mean, is there an allegation that something in her reporting is materially and maliciously false?
So here's the deal. The former governor, Phil Bryant, is claiming he didn't sue them because they exposed $77 million worth of misspending. He applauds them for doing that. The suit is about defamation.
Of who?
Of Bryant, the former governor, implying that he was guilty of any criminal conduct because he has not been found guilty of anything. He has not been charged with any crimes. And he's alleging that basically the reporting made him out to be a criminal, which he is not technically.
Okay.
So
yes. So my understanding is that, I mean, it seems like this should just be thrown out like as a slap suit. Because for public officials, like people just in the public eye, not even elected officials, but just people in the public eye, you have a higher burden of proof to show that you have defamed somebody. Like if somebody were to come out and, I mean, I think even at our level of publicity, we've given up some amount of like the ability to charge people with defamation. But like for example, our wives, they have a much lower bar to clear, right? Because they're not public officials. And so they could say that, you have knowingly said something false about me. But my understanding was that for people who are public, it doesn't just knowingly lying about somebody is not enough. It has to be done with malicious intent, like maliciously lying about it, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So check this out from NBC News. Quote, "The case has drawn attention beyond Mississippi as an example of how public figures can make life difficult for news organizations long before they have ever presented evidence of the, quote, actual malice needed to prove defamation cases."
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Mississippi Today, the independent nonprofit organization that employs Wolf and the editor, is asking the state Supreme Court to overturn the order. But, Bryant did appoint 4 of the 9 justices on the state Supreme Court. The editor wrote in the New York Times recently, breaching the confidentiality of sources violates one of the most sacred trusts and breaks one of the most vital tools in investigative journalism. No serious news organization would agree to this demand. So, yeah, it's all over this defamation case from Phil Bryant. He was the governor when the scandal erupted. He has not been charged with a crime. He says he's done nothing illegal, and that the online news organization wrongly accused him of criminal conduct. He declined to be interviewed by NBC News, but he did send his lawyer. So the scandal came to light after Wolf, who was the reporter, she started asking questions about how a state so poor like Mississippi was rejecting more than 90% of the people who applied for welfare. So she just wanted to know, where's this money going if everyone's getting rejected? And that's how she uncovered all sorts of misspending, tens of millions of dollars of misspending. White state officials and some of their cronies and friends and affiliates, they diverted, tens of millions of federal welfare dollars that should have been going for poor families, mostly black women and children in Mississippi. And some well-connected folks. The allegations include a $5 million volleyball facility at the University of Southern Mississippi was built on behalf of Brett Favre, whose daughter happened to be on the volleyball team there at the time. Now, Favre has not been charged with anything, but he allegedly received over $1 million for promotional efforts. And a drug company in which he owned stock received over $2 million, according to public records. Favre lobbied the governor to help secure the money, according to text messages obtained by Mississippi Today. So there was a lot of questions about just how involved Governor Phil Bryant was in some of this. And, again, he claims he's done nothing illegal. And so he is going to sue to try to get these reporters to reveal their sources. And I agree with you, Jacob. I'm not sure why, a judge is doing this. I'm reading here, and I'm still very concerned. I don't know why the judge is going for this, besides the fact that it's Mississippi. And I'm guessing their judges are about as reactionary as most of Alabama's. But yeah, I just wanted to share that story. It's not something we've covered closely. I'm not an expert on, but it just really, that shocked me that potentially the first person involved in this whole scandal to go face jail time could be the reporter, not any of the other people who have been involved or implicated. Again, just the idea that welfare dollars, money that is supposed to go to the poorest people in your state, which also happens to be the poorest state in the country, and you're spending it on volleyball facilities and promotional stuff and giving money to your rich buddies, it's disgusting. So there's a lot there, in terms of the misuse of federal funds and the misuse of federal programs, but also the blatant attacks on the First Amendment.
Right.
So, we'll see what happens with this. I definitely want to stay tuned on that story.
Yeah, for sure.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.